Yeah, I mean, I've got quite a long list to reel off here of my observations around Reform UK, and I personally don't think that they should be supported that much. Obviously, it's a welcome change to the political system, but I fear if Reform were to get into power, it's going to be much of the same of what we've had. I mean, the first thing which is really important is they're not going to stop permanent settlement immigration, and they're going to continue to give out passports to foreigners, UK passports. And this is what they keep saying they're going to reduce immigration, and this is what the Tories have been trying to do for 14 years. And it's uncontrollable. It's out of control. And the only way to deal with it, in my opinion, and a lot of other smaller parties who agree with us, is we need to completely stop permanent settlement immigration and give temporary work permits for very skilled things that we can't cover ourselves. But obviously, we need to train our own people. The other really important thing is they are not campaigning to stop accepting refugees. In 2024, 100,000 people claimed asylum in the UK and were granted refugee status. Only 30,000 of them came in at Dover, and Reform UK are only talking about Dover. So at Dover, they're not even going to criminalise people for what they say are illegal entry into our country. They keep saying they're going to pick them up and take them back. That's fine. Obviously, we want them to do that. But you need to have a deterrent, and they're not talking about a deterrent. And the reason they're not talking about a deterrent is because they're trying to protect the United Nations Refugee Convention. They're scared of being called the anti-Semitism label, because it will all lead back to World War II, and that's why that convention was created. So they're basically protecting something which is the problem. And we need a deterrent, and it's in our manifesto, in our policies. We've got a full policy, a long-term plan to deal with the crisis at Dover. We need a punishment for, once we've left the Refugee Convention, we need a punishment for entering illegally. At the end of the day, Reform UK are part of the mainstream. They're part of the mainstream media on GB News. Yeah. GB News will not allow any. They won't allow anyone on their channel like from parties like ours. But at the same time, they'll let Peter Tatchell on there and Benjamin Butterworth. They're just two far left examples of who GB News have on regularly, but they won't have anyone on like British Democrats or National Housing Party. So they're part of the mainstream. They're never going to ban foreign ownership of property in this country, property and land. Our country's being bought up by foreign billionaires from all around the world. They're a politically correct party. They've expelled many people from their party. They got rid of Ben Habib. He was seen as too hardline for them. They're also, a lot of people don't realise this. Reform UK are part of the anti-white agenda. And the reason they're part of the anti-white agenda is because they're not campaigning, like, for example, the British National Party. Farage and many people in Reform would say, oh, the BNP would an R word, because they were fighting for a white British identity to keep it legal to legally have white British group identity officially recognised, like as in a political party or an organisation. And our Reform went along with a system to ban it, and basically called anyone the R word who wanted to do that. That is the anti-white agenda. So, they're taking in a lot of ex-Tories from the Tory party. These Tories have destroyed our country. They're willing to take ex-Labour as well. And recently someone resigned from Reform because they basically, Reform prioritised these ex-Tories coming in and removed some of the grassroots Reform candidates. Farage is on record saying he will not deport illegal immigrants. It's in our policy. There's around 2 million illegals in this country. They need to be deported. Most of their leadership are multimillionaires: Rupert Lowe, Farage, Richard Tice. they're an elite club, basically. The trans ideology, they only speak out about children transitioning, and everyone with a brain cell knows that it should be illegal for a doctor to chop someone's healthy body parts off, and that is our policy. The COVID vaccine debacle, when that broke, Reform were right in with the establishment. They was even proposing to make Tony Blair the vaccine czar. And they were even saying that people should be sacked from the health service if they didn't get the vaccine. This is all on record. They're not openly promoting Christianity, and that trans thing kind of proves that. Farage is also on record saying that Israel have a right to stop immigration to protect their ethnic identity and preserve Israel and keep it a majority for Jewish people. But when asked about the white British people of the UK, he said he didn't care. So also they are a cancel culture party. Most of us on this panel now are banned from joining Reform for the crime of trying to save our country in a civilized and democratic way. They're not willing to work with, for example, UKIP. They're just completely demonizing any other smaller party. So not willing to work with any other right-wing party. So in other words, with the cancel culture of banning people from joining them, they are dividing the right. I don't think we should be promoting them, because the danger is Reform are just going to wipe out all the smaller parties, and Reform are just going to become the establishment. They're pro-NATO. Like even the last few days, they're saying, "Oh, Ukraine should join NATO," and this is what caused the problem in the Ukraine. One more thing on my list. When Donald Trump was in his first term, the ISIS problem in the Middle East was really bad, and there were literally ISIS attacks happening on the American mainland. And Donald Trump said, "Right, I'm going to ban immigration from Syria, Iraq, Somalia, and one or two other countries in the Middle East." And Farage turned his back on him. And Farage is also known to turn his back on right-wing parties in the European Union. He refused to join in the group with Marine Le Pen and AfD. So this guy is not what people think he is, and Reform are not going to be the solution to our country. So I don't think they should be promoted, personally.
Yeah.